Despite popular belief among the citizens of Milan, Lorenzo Bellini did not come from a wealthy family. His mother, Teresa, had raised him alone in a modest home in the suburban neighborhood of Baggio, working tirelessly as a seamstress for a salary that barely covered basic expenses. Lorenzo, observing his mother's sacrifices, decided from a young age to contribute to the family's support. This story is set in Italy, from Milan to Florence and Rome, about American citizens with Italian roots. If you love true stories that touch the heart, subscribe to the channel now. Every week, a new emotion to experience together. As soon as he reached working age, he started as a dishwasher in a small trattoria in the heart of Brera, a neighborhood known for its lively art scene. The smell of tomato sauce and fresh basil filled the air, while the sound of cutlery and the laughter of customers created a family atmosphere. Over time, thanks to his dedication and passion, Lorenzo became an assistant chef, learning the secrets of traditional Italian cuisine. But he wanted to do more. After finishing his evening shift, he took economics courses at the university, studying under the dim light of a lamp in the small apartment he shared with his mother. The tiring days did not discourage him. On the contrary, they fueled his determination. After years of sacrifice, Lorenzo managed to open his first restaurant, a small tavern in the Navigli district, with a simple menu based on his mother's recipes. The walls were adorned with black and white photographs of a Milan of times gone by, and the aroma of freshly baked bread greeted customers at the entrance. Success was immediate. The Milanese appreciated the authenticity of the dishes and the welcoming atmosphere. As the years passed, Lorenzo expanded his business, opening new restaurants in several Italian cities. In Florence, he opened a trattoria overlooking the Ponte Vecchio. In Rome, a restaurant near Trastevere, where the narrow streets and soft lighting created a romantic atmosphere. His restaurants won numerous awards, and the best chefs in the country wanted to work for him. In your opinion, should a restaurateur judge his employees only by their turnover, or also by the heart they put into it? Write it in the comments, we want to hear from you. However, fate had a difficult test in store. Lorenzo's health began to deteriorate due to a debilitating disease that often forced him to stay at home. Doctors advised him to put his affairs in order. With no family to leave his fortune to, Lorenzo faced a dilemma. To whom should he entrust the legacy of his life's work? Sitting on the veranda of his villa on Lake Como, his gaze lost in the tranquil waters and the mountains reflected in the lake, Lorenzo reflected deeply. Whoever inherits my empire must have struggled to understand its value, he thought. While a light evening breeze caressed his face, and the sound of the waves seemed to whisper ancient stories of sacrifice and hope. It was then that he had an idea. In the days that followed, he decided to test himself and, disguised, he grew a thick beard, bought worn clothes at a flea market in Porta Portese, and got himself a walking stick. Looking at himself in the mirror, he saw a scruffy, almost unrecognizable man, the image of a man who had known pain and humility, and who now wanted to rediscover the true meaning of respect and human dignity. With that new look, he showed up in front of his first restaurant in Milan. The bright sign shone in the night, and through the windows, he could watch the customers intent on enjoying their meals. With a heavy heart, he crossed the threshold. As soon as he entered, the manager looked at him with contempt and, without hesitation, barred him from the entrance with a brusque, "You cannot come in here, sir." Lorenzo tried to explain, between one word and another, that he was hungry and that he only wanted a piece of bread. But the manager, implacable, called the security to remove him. Bitter, Lorenzo headed to his second restaurant in Florence, hoping for a different welcome. But even there, the reality was harsh. "Go away, bum," the manager shouted, leaving Lorenzo with a sense of deep disappointment. In that moment, the memory of the sacrifices he had made to get where he was mixed with the pain of being rejected by the same people who had benefited from his commitment. Unwilling to give up, Lorenzo headed to one last place, a small trattoria in Bologna, located on a cobblestone street near the Two Towers. This place, with its small menu of authentic Italian food and an atmosphere reminiscent of his humble beginnings, represented a return to his roots for him. He decided to show up at the back of the restaurant and knocked on the door. He was greeted by the head chef, a young man named Alessandro, whose eyes were full of understanding. "Can I eat something here? I have money. I can pay," Lorenzo said with a trembling voice, while pretending to search for money in his pockets. Alessandro looked at him carefully, and after a moment replied, "Wait a moment." Lorenzo imagined that the director was about to call him, but when Alessandro returned, he was alone, and with a welcoming smile invited him to come in. "Thank you," Lorenzo said, genuinely surprised. "What is your name?" "My name is Alessandro Ricci. I'm the head chef here," the young man replied, leading him to a table near the kitchen, away from the eyes of the customers. They served him hot soup, crusty bread, and a glass of red wine. Lorenzo savored every bite, feeling the warmth of the food warm his soul and bring back memories of times gone by when every meal was a precious gift. When he asked for the bill, Alessandro told him he didn't have to worry. "Why are you doing this?" "I said I have the money," Lorenzo protested, unable to fully comprehend such generosity. "Sir, I know how difficult it is to save that money. There is no point in spending it here," Alessandro replied, with the calm voice of someone who has known poverty and hope. Lorenzo was speechless. "Many other restaurants have kicked me out. Why not you?" Alessandro sighed and added, "Because I know what it means to be in trouble. Years ago, I was on the streets too, but a kind man gave me an opportunity and taught me that respect for others goes beyond appearances." That night, Lorenzo went home with a lighter heart. Alessandro's words had struck a chord with him, rekindling his desire to leave a legacy not only of success, but of humanity and generosity. He decided that once he had his empire in order, he would make sure that anyone, regardless of their condition, could find refuge and support in his restaurants. In the following months, Lorenzo worked not only to improve his health, but also to structure a social responsibility project within his premises, collaborating with charities and organizing fundraising events for those in difficulty. With every small gesture, the restaurateur demonstrated that the strength of the heart and generosity could change the destiny of many lives. His story, which began in a working-class neighborhood and evolved into a nationally recognized success, found a new dimension. That of a man who, despite pain and hardship, knew how to get up again to help others. And so, Lorenzo Bellini's legacy would not only be that of award-winning restaurants, but also that of a heart that had learned to give without reserve. Over time, the small trattoria changed its face. Alessandro transformed it into a welcoming place for everyone, where everyone, rich or poor, elegant or shabby, was greeted with the same smile. The walls now bore a new plaque, "In memory of Lorenzo Bellini," where the soul counts more than appearance. The restaurant became a point of reference for the community, not only for the food, which remained impeccable, but for the atmosphere of human warmth, for the kindness that could be felt in every gesture of the staff. There was always a place reserved for those in need, always a hot dish ready, even if you couldn't pay for it. And so, Lorenzo's dream continued to live. Not within the golden walls of a gastronomic empire, but in small daily gestures, in respect for others, in the value given to the dignity of each person. Because in the end, the real legacy is not the millions or the trophies, but the choices of the heart we leave behind us. If this story touched you, leave a like to support the channel. Write us in the comments, what would you do if a homeless person knocked on your door? And if you want to continue experiencing strong emotions, subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell. The next story that appears on the screen could change your perspective too.